Aloha, friends. This is GB here with my dear friend Jordan, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about community and why we treasure it so much. So, Jordan, probably most of my friend group already knows you, but just in case they don't, how do you describe yourself to humans?
Hey, yeah. I most identify as a musician. Music has been a natural passion of mine for as long as I can remember, and it has been a hobby and eventually a career for much of my life. I use music, specifically drumming, in all kinds of ways. I'm also a licensed psychotherapist, and the majority of the clinical work that I do in the world uh, uses my skill and interest in drumming. Um, I've played in bands. I still play in rock bands, and through that, I've learned how to be a marketer and a brander, and have used those skills in other ways. And I'm a community builder. That's what kind of is bringing us together with this chat right now. So I also have a podcast and a private Facebook group called Chocolate Croissants. And uh, through all these interests and skills, that really has been the central focus. My love and passion is music. That's how I express myself. But more broadly, I use music and these other skills to build community.
Amen. I think that's a very good representation of you. It's all spot on right there. It's a lot of why I love you, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Um, for those of you who are Jordan's friends who might not know me, I'm GB or Jeffrey Blake, and I have been a musician. It's not my core identity right now. Right now, I just identify as a grateful human, and that is important to me. That's something that I value. And at this moment, I am also a community builder, which is something I've done in the past as well. Like in the past, some of my different shades of GB have been a co-founder of a nonprofit in Baltimore City for Baltimore City youth that put together a very inclusive community. I've been a personal trainer, a coach of sorts, and those skills kind of translate into the role of just being a guide or a teacher that I really enjoy. And that's been a part of the path that I'm on now with guiding people and teaching people about gratitude. That is a community that I'm running both on Facebook as well as I've just created a mighty network outside of Facebook. And it feels all exciting and mighty. And Jordan and I wanted to specifically talk about community today, both from a couple of different sides as leaders of communities, because he's got Chocolate Croissants, which I'm a member of, and I feel valued as a member at Chocolate Croissants. And then I run Global Gratitude Jar, and Jordan's a member of that. And I hope he always knows how valued he is. He's actually member number one. He was the first
Yes.
one to take the invite, which makes us even more special 3 years later down the road that we're having this conversation about it. So Jordan, let's go with this first. The importance of community in our lives, and we could probably very easily tack on the importance of community right now in a pandemic lockdown.
Yeah. Look, we as human beings are designed to be social. Uh, that has helped us survive for millennia. Whether you think about tribe building, whatever, community building, right?
Yeah.
We have needed to come together in packs, tribes, villages, whatever you want to call it, to survive. Whether it's defending against the neighboring tribe or village, or what we are currently going through now. I mean, as a global community, it's going to take our collaboration to defeat this virus. So we are biologically built to be social and to be connected in community in all kinds of ways. For me, as a musician and as someone who loves just socialization and the all that comes with being part of a community, it brings joy, it brings hope, it offers support, and Yeah, it's so important right now, not only on a global scale, but more locally in the ways that our neighborhoods and communities have to come together to make it through this
Mhm.
global event. Um, but also through technology, we can build community around just things that we're passionate about. For me,
Yeah.
many of those have been music or pro wrestling, and that is where I found identity as a child, through those two communities specifically. And it's so important for me to not only engage in those types of communities, but to take a leadership role, because that has always, for whatever reason, felt natural to me.
Yeah. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad you kind of saw in a couple of different ways. You've seen a need for something. This frequently happens to me as well. I see the need for something or I want something. I look around, I realize nobody else is doing it right now. I'd say, is somebody else going to do it, or do I have to do this thing and then create this space or fill this space? Um, One of the things I like most about communities and what they can offer us right now is the interaction that we thrive on so much. Like I'm itching for some real human interaction besides my wife, who I see every day. Like she's one of those essential humans in the healthcare field who gets to or who has to go out each day. So she's still seeing people. So it's a little bit different experience for her, still the fear. But for me, I cannot wait to. I told you this on the phone the other day. I cannot wait to be in one of your first drum circles coming back when it is safe and healthy to be around other humans and just feel that feel that interaction that is unspoken when we're playing music. I can't wait to hug people. I can't wait to just talk to people around a campfire. But one of the other things that both of our communities provide is support for each other and interactive support, whether that is just liking somebody's gratitude for the day when they've dropped that daily just one little thing that they're grateful for, or in your community, like I've seen some really good sharing of how we can take care of ourselves in this pandemic, and that interaction and just knowing that somebody else cares and somebody else is supporting you just because you're in that group is so valuable. And I think while we can't get it in person right now, there's no doubt that in person is a super awesome way to get it. But we can still recreate it and create groups that even have stronger bonds for when we can see people in person again. So I'm glad that we have this option of the online community.
Yeah, the technology has been such a blessing for all of us, especially at this
Yeah.
time. And look, we have the ability at any given moment to potentially connect with billions of people around the world. So yes, of
Yeah.
course, being in person and interacting that way, I much prefer. But the people that even in healthier times, without a pandemic, uh, there's only so many people within a physical distance that you can
Yeah.
interact with, especially if you're looking for a hyper specific type of community to engage in. So internet
Yeah.
has provided us that at such a scale. And for the global gratitude jar that you help facilitate, and for the chocolate croissants podcast Facebook group, if you're interested, it's a private uh, Facebook group that anyone is welcome to join,
Yeah.
facebook.com/groups/chocolate croissants. I've said that many times publicly. And it is a truly global community. A couple weeks ago, when we really started putting more effort into engaging there, because it was dormant for all of last year,
Yeah.
and we brought it back because it felt like the right thing to do for us and for the community. And I put out a simple post of, hey, just curious, just type in the comment thread where you are right now in the world. And we had like almost 100 responses, and something like 25 different countries, and about half of the US states and half of the Canadian provinces. And I
Love
can't
it.
think of how that's possible without this technology. So it's really incredible that we have this gift, especially right now when many others can look around and think man, everything sucks. And yeah, a lot of shit sucks right now, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of good there too, and it's all true.
Yes. So many silver linings, and I'm appreciating seeing all of them. Taking a little shift into, let's just talk about how we personally benefit from being in communities and things like that. And this can go back to when you first realized the value of community. When I first realized it, just let's talk about our value, how much we value being in a community.
Yeah, so when we talk about community, I think another perspective or just concept to bring into the conversation is culture,
Yeah.
right? So culture, and really just a broad definition, it's just whether it's the customs or the beliefs that a group of people kind of agree on and live out together. And for me, I mentioned earlier, I found identity as a young child through music and pro wrestling.
Yeah.
These were both just forms of expression and entertainment that resonated with me in very deep ways. And through
Yeah.
that, I was able to build community. Music is infinitely more accessible and general in our own abilities to become musicians and to connect in community as
Right.
musicians, even though I have found all kinds of ways, both personally, artistically, and as a professional
And
to
as the career, yeah.
yeah, to grow my passion and interest in professional wrestling. But music more primarily. As a young kid, that's where I gained my confidence by being a guitar player and then a drummer and then being a person in a band. One of the most just primary foundational experiences that I've had, I was in seventh grade, so maybe 12 years old, and I went to the HF Festival. So WHFS at the time was the biggest alternative rock radio station on the East Coast. And
Yeah.
every May, they would throw a stadium concert with 80,000 people. It would sell out instantly. And my lovely mother took my brother Justin and I to our first HF festival at RFK Stadium in Washington D.C., which was May 20 or 20 May 1998, and we were there from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And
Yeah.
what was so just foundational for me was experiencing a full day of a different culture, right? We
Yeah.
experienced typical American culture at that time. You know, we go to school, go to restaurants, go to the mall at that time.
Yeah.
And to me, there was just something that felt kind of monotonous, that felt not so interesting. When I went to the Asia Festival, I was like, oh shit, like we can come together as 80,000 people
Yeah.
around similar passions, and also just the way that people dressed, maybe the ways that we were expressing ourselves. It felt different than what was considered socially normal or acceptable at a restaurant or at a community park,
Right.
right? So for me, that was so interesting, and that kind of gave me a sense of there are no rules, right? You know,
Right.
as long as we come from a place of decency and love and respect, we can be anything. We can
Yeah.
create anything socially. And so that really inspired me as I went on to uh, not only create my own shows as someone in a band, but to book shows and to book other bands and to really consider what's the messaging visually and otherwise for an event. How do we create a physical experience with the entrance and the merch tables? How do we promote that? And
Yeah.
then as I started my company Beatwell, where I'm being hired by conferences and businesses and school systems and library systems to come in, use drumming and percussion instruments to help others create rhythm, to essentially create culture, to create
Yeah.
connection, to help others socialize, to express themselves in unique ways, at least for this culture. I worked for a pro wrestling company for a couple years, and in that role, I was essentially responsible for the communications of the company, branding, social media, etc. So that really allowed me to consider what are we creating and how are we sharing it? How are we connecting with our fan base and our customer base um,
Right.
uh, through the lens of a pro wrestling company?
And I'd
Um,
also offer like just a little insight that as you create that and you're creating that experience, it also goes just right back to how they share that with each other and how they create a greater, stronger community around it. Like you'll
yeah,
notice that all successful brands, it's not just a great product. A lot of times that a great product will do well, but the ones that really have legs are the ones that create a feeling, an experience, or a way to bring like-minded, like-souled humans together. And you've done that countless times, and that's
yeah,
kind of where we really enjoy our found superpowers. It's awesome that you got that at 12 years old, like that insight and paradigm shift. Like, whoa, there's just so much more that I could be doing. There's no rules. I could break any one of them that I thought were existing before, and it probably really sparked your. I know from knowing you personally, it has sparked your creativity. Like you're really creative, and it's kind of cool that you have the genesis story of where that started.
yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah, look, I've been blessed to have parents who, uh, business wise, created their own stuff from scratch. So they
Yeah,
never really had bosses saying, you have to dress this way and you have to be here this time and you have to
yeah,
do things this way. And they instilled in my brother and I uh, our own confidence to just express ourselves in unique
yeah,
ways. Um, again, while still being respectful and leading from a place of
sure.
love, but yeah, ever since I was young, I felt, oh, I want to start a Pokemon card hustle. Okay, let me
Yeah,
do that. Oh, I want to have the audacity to write songs with my friends and then go ask strangers to pay to come see us play and offer their attention. Okay, I'll do that. And
yeah,
yeah, I these the ways that many of us kind of like box ourselves in of what's possible. Um, yeah, I was exposed both in the models of great parenting, but also in being able to go experience different cultures out in the
yeah,
world. And a lot of that through music. So you go to a rock show or uh, a jazz concert or a hip hop show, you're going to have different cultures. And there's different
yeah,
sets of norms in how people relate and express themselves. And through that, I think to kind of tie this together nicely, I've learned that it's the diversity in all of us that is like wonderful and to be celebrated. But ultimately, fundamentally, we are all the same,
amen.
right? And
Yeah,
and that's allowed me. And rhythm is the key metaphor and kind of the key construct that through Beatwell I really use. And rhythm is something we all have. We all have a heartbeat. Thus, we
yeah,
all have rhythm. We all have
yeah,
natural rhythm. And because of that, I believe we're all, natural born drummers and musicians, even though most of us don't think of ourselves like that.
right.
Uh, so yeah, as human beings, we are all intimately connected and have so much in common, but it's the diversity, the unique skills or perspectives or personalities that create flavor, right, to the different
Yeah,
communities that we can build. And when we all have that common goal and are willing and feel comfortable enough, feel supported enough to bring those unique talents or strengths or perspectives to the community, that's when we're most successful, whether it's a family or a business or a religious community or otherwise.
yeah, totally. And I see the global communities that we've both been a part of and both shared with the world, just showing how similar we are. Like we all, not everybody loves coffee, but most of us do. Not everybody loves puppies, but most of us do. We all have those little things that we love that just kind of make us spark, whether it is your family, your puppies, your career. We are so similar. We're all human beings, and yet it seems so easy sometimes to otherize people, to say, oh, like they must be different because they're from so and so province, or this country or whatever it may be. But they still, despite speaking a different language, have a lot of definitely have the same needs as like as a Maslow's hierarchy, but also have a lot of the same wants and laugh at the same things no matter what language they are. And I really enjoy that even a group like yours that has its own topics and its own culture, and even a group like mine, we can still invite anybody in and have them see the similarities. And it's just kind of just shown, like whether you were just celebrating music in a group, people from all around the world that like certain music would, come together and share these certain things and just start to see how similar we are, which is part of my hopes, is that this hive consciousness, this the paradigm shift that might be happening while everybody is kind of forced to take a little bit of time to slow down, that this paradigm shift helps us to just see how similar we are. And it only happened because of something pretty tragic that made us stop. You just have to stop and reflect, whether you're working, whether you're not working. The world has changed and everything has slowed down a little bit, and we're given this gift. So hopefully, I hope that we come out of the other side seeing how similar we are, seeing how many silver linings there are, seeing how simple the simple pleasures really can be if you allow them. And I've
Yeah,
been enjoying the process of just doing all those things.
yeah. I think as a human race, this virus has been humbling, and but I hope we really get a sense of how interconnected all of us are,
Yeah,
for good and for bad, depending on what we do with that interconnectedness and the responsibility that we take.
yeah,
What I do affects the other indirectly and in many ways, just directly as well.
yeah,
So whether we identify with a specific town we live in, or a religion, or a hobby, or a political ideology, those communities have great functions, but we are all connected as a global human community. Um,
yeah,
and, and look, I hope that we all can find comfort in these more specific communities too, for support and entertainment and an ability to express ourselves and otherwise, whether it's Global Gratitude Jar or the Chocolate Croissants Facebook
yeah,
group, or otherwise.
yeah. And this is a good opportunity to let everybody know we're talking about the value of community. We obviously have a slight bias because we run two really awesome communities, but when choosing a community, if it's not ours and we just want you to find the benefit, whether it's within the internet walls that we've created, the house that we've built, or whether it's somewhere else, find somewhere that is inclusive and has a culture of kindness and openness. Um, Also, don't don't listen to this and think, oh, I should join all the communities, and then really water down your efforts. Have you seen in both communities that the more committed somebody is to less communities, and the more they invest in, the more they get out of it?
Yeah, look, I'll just use myself as an example, and I know that, look, I'm a hyper social person, but especially now, where I can't go out and be physically social, I've been much more intentional about how I spend my time investing in community. And I'm a
Yeah,
part of many. So
yeah,
I have the Chocolate Croissants Facebook group. That right now is the one I'm focused on cultivating, making sure that, like, everything that happens within that Facebook group, not only am I paying attention to it, but I'm going to react to it. I'm going to respond to it. I'm going to engage within it, even if it's as simple as hitting the like. but hitting that like
Right.
button at least lets the other person know on the other side that their expression has been seen.
It
And
matters.
to me,
Hey, I hear you. And
yeah,
you're doing a great job with that, by the way.
yeah, thank you. But yeah, it's a validation, and I think that's really important, especially in building communities that are a bit just new. And right now,
Yeah.
for us, we built this years ago, but like I said, it's been dormant for a little while. So right now, it needs some extra care. I've seen that once you do that for a year, other community members feel more empowered to start doing those same things because as a community leader, I've successfully modeled those behaviors. So whether other
Yeah.
people are engaging in the comments thread or more interestingly, starting their own comments thread, right? Because
Yeah.
as leaders, it's our job to empower others to do
Yeah.
some of those things. And then the community can be sustainable because it's not solely reliant on or one or a few people kind of at the top of
Right.
the hierarchy.
Yeah.
So for me, that's been my focus. I'm still part of a broader pro wrestling community, but for me, that's more just on Twitter, and I don't really engage myself. That's just something that I enjoy reading and being a part of.
Yeah.
And then, I have a handful of close friends where I feel connected through them in talking about something like pro wrestling. I have the community of my band, and we're all still in touch, figuring out how to make a damn music video right now in quarantine and
Love it.
release a song. So that's been a very hyper specific community of me and three other people
Yeah.
that I'm engaging with. And then I have my family, and then a broader family and things like that. So yes, there's many communities that I have subscribed to, and I've been as intentional as I can be in I guess figuring out how important are these communities to me, and how much can I and should I invest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for someone who maybe is inspired by this conversation and thinking, oh man, like all the benefits of being in community, what I would suggest is go deeper than trying to spread yourself too thin, right? So depth
Yeah.
over width. And
Yeah.
and as maybe if searching for a Facebook community through a private group or otherwise, if that's the plan, maybe join a handful at first and read the room. Figure
Yeah.
out like who's engaging in here. What are the social norms? Does it feel like this is a community of trust and support? And a lot of these groups have like guidelines and often questions that you have to answer to be let into. Or
Yeah.
is it some random like Reddit thread where cynicism kind of is king? And I
Right.
think all of these types of social norms are important for us to sniff out as
Yeah.
we kind of decide, do I want to engage? And if so, how deeply do I want to engage with this group of human beings?
Right. And those things that you mentioned, like sniffing out the culture, the social norms, and everything like that. I think we tend to both lean towards the groups that will provide growth, like self growth, as well as supported growth of other humans. But sometimes it's just entertainment and enjoying the process of being in a group. Like a lot of those, the Reddit subthreads and everything like that. Yeah, it comes with some snarkiness and cynicism, and that's a part of the game. As long as everybody's playing and you understand those social norms, then you found your group. And if it doesn't, if you're not comfortable with it, then you find somewhere else. And I do think, like you said, looking for a handful and then whittling it down to find the one that provides you the most value over
Yeah.
time.
And for me, I guess the most valuable question that I could ever ask myself when we're deciding on things like this is just, does this feel good?
Yeah.
And then getting really quiet and getting a sense of what your body's telling you when you ask that question. So for me, the chocolate croissants community, it fundamentally feels really good. I have the
Yeah.
self-awareness when we do what's typically a weekly podcast, and every time we finish those chats, I feel significantly better. When I spend 30 seconds or 30 minutes engaging in the Facebook group, I always feel better for doing that. So, asking, does this feel good? There is a ton to be learned about ourselves and how we should use the resource of our time and attention and energy.
Yeah, and that is a good sensitive tool to develop, is the does this feel good tool, and figuring out what does and what doesn't. I always ask, does this serve me and like my greater good, or my future self, or whatever. And it's a similar question that we're calibrating that to see, what decisions we should make in life.
Yeah.
So we have run a full gamut of why we think community is so important. We've obviously expressed that we would love anybody listening to this to join our communities that we run. And I just wanted to just give you a quick second, and then I'll take a quick second just to tell why we built those communities and what they're for. And then I think we can wrap up, and you can enjoy your day underneath the cherry blossoms, and I can hang on my couch a little bit more. But why did you guys build chocolate croissants, and who is it for?
So chocolate croissants started with my brother Justin and our good friend Matt Halpern, who plays drums in a progressive metal band called Periphery.
If only you had a mug.
And it started in early 2017. It was a natural extension of the conversations we were already having. The three of us have always been musicians, but we also build our own businesses. Matt has a technology music software company in addition to many other businesses. My brother is a dietitian and a personal trainer. So with nutrition and physical fitness, he has these other interests. Just like me, whether in the field of mental health or professional wrestling or branding more broadly, we have these different entrepreneurial interests and tendencies. So we would often get together and just support each other as friends, but we understood it was a friendship of depth, where we're talking about self-improvement and we're talking about our journeys as creative entrepreneurs. All of us serve people. We have clients, and we share in individual and group settings. So we figured the conversations we were having would potentially be valuable and interesting to many people. So it started as a podcast, and then eventually a private Facebook group as a way to literally build the community and engage with the people that were listening. And we just last night, I think, had our 1700th member join the Facebook group.
Nice.
which is
Congrats.
very exciting.
Yeah.
And most of the people paying attention, I would say, are interested in music. Many are musicians or another type of creative. I'd imagine there's a lot of graphic designers, videographers,
video.
yeah, things of that nature. I'd say the target demo would be a guy probably between the ages of like 18 and like mid 30s, and a lot of the stuff we've been talking about were this idea that we have this passion, this creative passion, but now you're at this turning point because you're figuring out, where do I go to college, or I'm just graduating college. How do I start making money? Or college isn't for me, but I'm still trying to figure out a way to monetize this creative passion I have and skill set that many of us have spent lifetimes cultivating. So if there's a target demo, I say that is it. But we have people much older. There are plenty of non-males in there too. It's global. And look, these ideas of owning and exploring our passions, this idea of creating income on our own terms, this idea of self-improvement and community support, these are universal, I think, just needs and desires for all people. But I'll say, it's easy for me to say the global gratitude jar, which is your community, is at least demographically, I think much more diverse, because you
Yeah.
are working with a much more universal concept, the simplicity of a gratitude practice, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I say that all are welcome to join, because the social norms that we have set and continue to cultivate with every single interaction is that of respect, of support, and of inclusivity.
Yeah. And it shows. I feel that like I am enjoying uh, being in parallel with you guys at the same time, building our things with these really strong cultures, and it's really exciting to watch them grow from the inside, to watch those leaders emerge, and to just see all the benefits that everybody gets. It's so amazing, and
And
yeah,
I want to say real quick, look, there's this dude that lives in the UK. His name is Joe Hamilton, and he started out as a listener and a community member. He had taken uh, lessons from Matt,
yeah,
and he was someone who like raised his hand. And what I mean by that is he was very engaging in the comments threads. And
yeah,
when it came to the point where we were looking for some extra help with some post production in audio, he was willing to provide that service for us. And through just raising his hand and showing up and adding value and just being a good dude, he's now like a part of the leadership of that community with Matt,
right,
Justin, and I.
yeah,
So there is plenty of opportunity out there. I think if we just show up and lead with adding value and
yeah,
kindness, and if that's the community you're in, and that's what uh, those creating it deem valuable, then yeah, the internet, man, like it's wild. There's so much
it
to not only
expands.
experience, yeah, but to there's so much opportunity, man.
So much growth
Yeah.
in all ways, whether that is inner or upping your rank in a community or business or a career. There is just so much opportunity, and those are the silver linings that we can see right now because it's the option more than ever, which I'm loving watching all this growth forced. But that's the growing pains thing. Like the growing pains when you were younger were physical pains because you were growing and expanding, and now seeing a painful experience of the world slowing down, shutting down, and us figuring out that some of the things used to serve us don't anymore, and we're going to grow and change from it. And in my own community, just going back to why, it was, you're right, just to cultivate a daily gratitude habit, and this expands. That's like the what we do in the group each day, but it just expands out into the more you're practicing finding things that you're grateful for by being like kind of put on the spot sometimes and having to think, man, what am I grateful? Today was a tough day. What am I grateful for? The more times we use that muscle, it starts to make us a more grateful human. The more time we use that scope or that sight finder of what I'm grateful for, makes it easier for us to see. We start to live these lives of gratitude. That's the gift that I want to give out. That's why I have a free Facebook group. That's why the New Mighty Network has a free option as well as a paid option for people that want to take a deeper dive. Because I would like to serve the people that want to take a deeper dive, but I also never want there to be a barrier to entry, like
Mhm.
in this global expression of gratitude. Um, and it has been just awesome to see the people grow within, as well as my own group growth being influenced by the humans in the group. Like I've dealt with death and mourning better because
Mhm.
of watching somebody else do it, and these are powerful side effects that I never thought I'd get just from running a little online community. But I am enjoying watching everybody else thrive in it, and as well as getting the benefits personally, thriving from learning from other people, like-minded humans. And our demographic is big. It's for me. It's like I just want to tell the whole world. I'd say the members who exist there, I think it's 62% female, and it ranges from I think 22 to somewhere in probably now, yeah, the 70s. So yeah,
Mm.
all are welcome, and all are treated the same with warmth and openness and a space for vulnerability and growing. So I hope anybody listening to this, you know, is convinced that, man, our first two communities that we should check out are Chocolate Croissants and Global Gratitude Jar. But find them, check them out, figure out the social norms, see if you fit in there, and then, as Jordan said, go deep in the ones that feel good. Well, I'm so glad we got together today. I'm so glad that this is recording. We'll tell that story later of how the first one didn't record and my wonderful morning. But Jordan, anything else as we close this day?
I would share with you and myself and with anyone paying attention right now, to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it will be far easier to be kinder to everyone else. But it starts with us. So be kind to yourself.
Amen to that. I will just echo the sentiment in a different way and just express to anyone listening, I love you. You're worth it. And that's something I have to tell myself sometimes. And that's something I will gladly tell any human I meet, just because they are worth it, and I do love them. So thank you for sharing the love with me, Jordan. I'm glad we got together today, and the kind humans that are listening can expect a follow up with a different topic. We'll be chatting about the things that we find most important, the values, the communities, everything like that. So thank you
Yes.
again, and stay tuned in.
Cool. Good stuff, brother. Thank you.
Peace. Love you.
Love you too.